So if you're applying to Studienkolleg, then this video is perfect for you. My name is Felipe and I was a Studienkolleg student last year. And here in this video, I'm going to answer questions you guys asked me throughout the last 6 months or so that this channel exists. So I'm basically going to talk about application process, Aufnahmetest, preparation, tips, resources. I'm going to talk about university in German in general. So I have all the questions here. And first question is, what are the documents for the Studienkolleg application? So basically, they're usually B2 German or B1, okay, depending on the Studienkolleg. High school certificate, passport, APS, in case you are from China, India, or Vietnam, and your curriculum, so your resume. When can I apply to Studienkolleg? So deadlines for winter semester, they're usually in April. And for summer semester, it's around November. But yeah, you can see that in detail on the website of your Studienkolleg. When do I give the entrance exam of the Studienkolleg, the Aufnahmetest? So basically, roughly said, for winter semester, it's usually July. And for summer semester, it's January. And yeah, depending on the Studienkolleg, of course. But yeah, it's around that usually. And what material did I use in my Aufnahmetest preparation? Well, in my preparation, I basically studied with C-tests from Mutuluke. For those who don't know, Mutuluke is a book that contains a lot of C-tests, like hundreds of them. And yeah, it's very useful. And from some random exercises I could find on the internet also. And for math, I just searched for math exercises on the internet also from a lot of student colleagues, and I just practice a lot. My Aufnahmetest will be in a few weeks, and I am not confident with math. What do I do? So in this case, the best thing to do would be to study quickly some popular math topics for this exam, and at the same time try to solve all the exercises from past papers from some student colleagues. So you should study basically topics like linear equations, quadratic equations, fractions and term manipulation, functions, okay, and calculus 1, especially derivatives. You can go to AC Aufnahmetest lesson 4, I think. There you have anything you need to know about the math exam for Studienkolleg, which are the most usual topics, what kind of questions you're going to see, how the topics are usually applied to the exam, and so on. What are the top 10 best Studienkollegs? So there isn't a ranking for this, but yeah, based on popularity, I'd say, Studienkollegs of Berlin, okay, both the TU and FU, Leipzig, Hamburg, Darmstadt, Heidelberg, KIT, Nordhausen, and also Halle and Dresden. I'd say these are the top ones, at least the most popular ones. But yeah, don't worry about popularity of Studienkollegs, okay? To be honest, it's much more important to see, for example, if their FSP is recognized by all German universities. And during my preparation, how much did I use to get in Mutsuluke B2? There I used to score around 70% in the B2 version, and in my Aufnahmetest I scored around 80%, so you can have an idea of the difficulty level. But yeah, it's similar, okay, it's very similar, and because of that, of course, I really recommend this book for your preparation, and especially the B2 version. Should I study math in English or German to prepare for the Aufnahmetest? So there's no problem about studying math in English, okay, but I recommend studying in German, at least the math vocabulary. And you can do that, for example, just by looking at the questions from the Aufnahmetest examples and translating anything you don't know. Okay, this is very effective. Of course, watching, for example, math lessons in German will help you, but I would say it's not fully necessary. Basically, what really matters is that you know what is written in a question in the day of your exam. As I said, just studying math vocabulary like separately will be enough probably. Is there any problem if I want to study economics at university in Germany, even though in high school I didn't study that? So you can study economics normally, okay? The only requirement for that is the FSP from Vickers. And this question is good because that's exactly what Studienkolleg is for, okay? It prepares you for the university even though you didn't study that in high school, for example, economics. So Studienkolleg does that. And yeah, inside Vickers, you learn everything you need for university, basically from zero, okay? And this same logic is valid for any other course in a German university. You just need the FSP certificate from that course, like from Vickers, from T-Kurs, from Mass-Kurs, and so on. Because if you got that certificate, basically you're officially able to enter university because you have the required knowledge for that. Now, is C1 required for a German university? Well, if you're applying to a German university like directly, then yes, you probably need a C1. But if you attend Studienkolleg, you can do that with B2, sometimes even B1, and then you get an FSP certificate, and yeah, that's it. That way you don't need to get a C1. You'll just need B2 for the enrollment at your university. Which student colleagues have a duration of 6 months? So there's actually only a few of them, okay? Kaiserslautern and Mainz, those are the two. And also some private ones, I think some of them, they have a duration of 6 months. But yeah, it's only a few of them. Usually student colleagues have a duration of like 12 months, 2 semesters. But yeah, for example, Kaiserslautern, where I studied, was only 6, like, so 1 semester. Is it manageable to study in a Studienkolleg with only 6 months of duration? Yes, okay, it's totally manageable. As I said, I studied at one, and what I can say is that it's manageable, but it's a little more like intensive. But don't get me wrong, like the FSP is not hard, I would say, because it's actually designed for you to be able to pass it with only 1 semester of Studienkolleg. So if that's what you worry about, there's no problem with that, okay, it's totally manageable. Is it possible to pass Aufnahmetest with only 2 months of preparation? Yes, okay, it's possible, especially if you already have a good math foundation, because then you can focus on German, okay? German is usually harder than math. Usually, people say that in KIT, for example, it's not that way. But yeah, basically, in my case, I had math like fresh in my mind because I just had gotten out of high school. So I just had to study like German and practice math. Like it took me longer than 2 months of preparation. But yeah, in my case, I knew German would be like harder. Are we allowed to work part-time while studying at Studienkolleg? Yes, okay, you can do that. Totally doable. Okay, you can work 20 hours, yeah, 20 hours per week at most. And yeah, you can do that while you're studying. Okay, no problem with that. Is it possible to pass Aufnahmetest with B1? So, about this, it's usually harder, okay, just with B1, even though some student colleagues accept it on application. And I say that because most people are taking this exam with B2, okay? So we're basically competing at B2 level, and that's why I would recommend you to also get B2, okay, if you can, or if you can't, at least just studying with resources for B2, for example, Mutsuluke for B2 version, because that's the level you gotta expect for your Aufnahmetest, okay? Do I get a public or a private health insurance for Studienkolleg? Private health insurance, okay? You basically can't have a public health insurance for Studienkolleg. Actually, that is only for when you enter university. Then you need public health insurance, you have to apply for university before applying for Studienkolleg. So you firstly apply to the Studienkolleg of your choice, then you take the FSP at the end, and then you can apply for university for the bachelor's program. But what can happen is that you apply for Studienkolleg like through the university's website or something like that. Like in this case, not directly to the Studienkolleg. And yeah, some Studienkollegs, they require that in their application process. But what you cannot do is like apply for a bachelor's program if you need a Studienkolleg before. Can I enroll in a private Studienkolleg after getting rejected at a public one? So you can either retry in the next semester, most of the times, or you can apply for a private one. But here, one thing you gotta pay attention about private Studienkollegs is if their FSP is recognized by German universities, okay? This is very important when you're considering to apply for a private Studienkolleg. What is the timeline from start of applications for Studienkolleg to start of bachelor's? So, okay, first you apply to the Studienkolleg, then you take the Aufnahmetest, then you enroll, then your semester at Studienkolleg starts, and all of that takes usually 6 months at most. Then after the Studienkolleg finishes, that is 1 or 2 semesters later, you can then apply for your bachelor's, okay? That's the timeline for Studienkolleg. Do FSP results come after the start of bachelor's? So if you're worried about if your FSP results will come after the deadline to apply for a bachelor's, you don't need to worry about that, okay? The FSP results, they actually come always before the start of the next semester. And yeah, you have time to get your results, and if you pass your FSP, then you can apply to university. Will I get invitation for Aufnahmetest even though my score in high school isn't very good? So actually that's a frequent question, okay? And about that, if your application documents are all correct and come in time, of course, you'll be invited to your Aufnahmetest, okay? The invitation itself doesn't depend on your grades of high school, and whether you're accepted to that Studienkolleg or not also doesn't, okay, usually. Thus, getting a good grade in the FSP allows me to enter any university in Germany. Yes, but there is one exception, okay? Some FSPs allow you to enter only Hochschulen and not Universität, and others can restrict you to some specific region. For example, the same state where your Studienkolleg took place. So it's always important to inform yourself about that before you apply to that Studienkolleg, okay? I want to attend an Aufnahmetest. What should I do? So after applying to Studienkolleg and receiving your invite for Aufnahmetest, what I recommend is first go to the Studienkolleg website and download the mock exams, basically to know exactly what subjects, what topics that Aufnahmetest covers. Then after that, start preparing, okay, studying with resources from the internet, practicing with exercises from Aufnahmetest, and yeah, here, the more you practice, the better, okay? And specifically for that, I have a video which is a guide for you who are taking an Aufnahmetest. So I tell you everything you need to know about the exam, and if you're interested, you can go check it out, okay? So those were some of the questions you guys asked me, and how many was that? 23 questions, okay? And of course, if you have any other question, you can leave here in the comment section. So I hope this video was helpful, and I see you in the next one.